The cafe was almost empty. It was one of those small, quiet places tucked away in Surulere, where people came to escape the endless noise of Lagos. A television mounted on the wall played the afternoon news, but no one paid attention. The rich aroma of freshly brewed coffee filled the air. Comfort sat quietly by the window. Her fingers were wrapped around a cup of tea that had long gone cold. She couldn't stop replaying the wedding in her mind. Michael's denial. David Stone's confidence. The way hundreds of people had looked at her, as though she were the criminal. She had walked into that hall hoping someone would listen. Instead, she had walked out, branded a liar. A few minutes later, Sarah arrived. She looked to be in her late 30s, neatly dressed in a simple office outfit. She carried a black handbag that looked heavier than it should. The moment she sat down, she didn't smile. She didn't exchange pleasantries. She simply looked at Comfort. Sarah.
I'm sorry. For what? For believing what they said about you. When I watched the wedding online, at first I thought you had come with an unexpected story that might bring trouble. Then I remembered my own.
Comfort leaned forward. Sarah slowly unzipped her handbag. She carefully brought out a thick brown file. It was old. The edges were badly worn. Some of the papers inside had already begun to fade. She gently placed it on the table.
Everything inside this file is the reason I haven't slept peacefully for 4 years.
Comfort carefully opened it. Inside were payment receipts, allocation letters, photographs, court documents, letters from lawyers, police reports, even old newspaper cuttings. Comfort slowly looked up.
My savings. 4 years ago, my husband and I bought 2 plots of land from Stonecrest Properties. We paid every kobo. We attended the inspection. We signed every document. They promised allocation in 3 months.
Sarah laughed bitterly. 3 months became 6. 6 became 1 year. 1 year became 7 years. She flipped to another page. Photographs of an empty piece of land appeared. Every time I went there, they told me to come back next week. Comfort turned another page. Letters from lawyers demanding answers. None had ever been replied to. Sarah.
When I stopped being patient, they stopped being polite. What do you mean? One evening, I was driving home. A black SUV blocked my car. 3 men came out. They didn't touch me. They didn't need to.
Comfort noticed Sarah's hands beginning to tremble. Sarah's voice became quieter. One of them leaned into my window and said, "Madam, enjoy your life. Forget the land. Some battles are too expensive." Comfort's expression hardened. Comfort: "Did you report them?" Sarah almost laughed. She reached into the file again. This time, she brought out one police report, then another, then another. 3 police reports. Nothing happened. She placed another document on the table. "Sarah, I petitioned the Ministry of Lands. No response." She placed another file beside it. "Sarah, I went to court. The case kept getting postponed." Comfort scanned one of the documents. Suddenly, her eyes stopped on a familiar signature. "David Stone." She slowly looked back at Sarah. "You think David is behind this?" Sarah nodded. "Sarah, people think Michael runs Stonecrest. He doesn't. David Stone built that company, and nobody makes a major decision without his approval." Comfort fell silent. Everything David had said during the irony almost made her laugh. Sarah quietly closed the file. "I wanted justice. But justice is expensive when you are fighting people with money." For a moment, neither woman spoke. Outside, traffic crawled slowly past the cafe. Life in Lagos continued, as though nothing had happened. She slowly removed a photograph from the back of the file. It showed a smiling man standing beside a little girl near a bush. Sarah stared at it. "Sarah, because that land wasn't an investment. It was supposed to be our home. My husband died waiting." Comfort stared quietly at the photograph. Sarah smiled sadly. "Sarah, a heart attack. He never recovered from the stress." Comfort gently returned the picture. For the first time, she realized she wasn't the only person carrying grief because of the Stone family. Sarah slowly reached across the table. "Comfort, you came for justice. I came for justice too. Maybe God brought us together." Comfort nodded slowly. "Comfort, then we fight together." Sarah looked around.
There are others.
"Others?" Sarah nodded. Comfort's heart skipped. "There are people who lost businesses, people who lost their homes, people who disappeared after refusing to keep quiet." She paused, then whispered, "But there's one woman you need to meet first." Comfort leaned close. "Who is she?" Sarah's eyes fixed on the cafe entrance as though she feared someone was listening. Then she whispered, "She's married to one of Michael's closest friends." Comfort froze. "Comfort, what?" Sarah nodded slowly. "And if she's finally ready to talk, one perfect family in your wedding album is about to fall apart." Lagos had a way of celebrating successful marriages. Every weekend, social media was flooded with pictures of couples smiling on beaches, holding hands at expensive restaurants, and sharing romantic captions about forever. People believed what they saw. Nobody ever asked what happened after the cameras stopped recording. Among all the couples who attended Michael and Olivia's wedding, one family stood out more than the others: Daniel and Rebecca Cole. To millions of Nigerians, they were the definition of a successful marriage. Rebecca Cole was one of the country's most celebrated marriage counselors. Every Tuesday evening, her television program, Forever Together, attracted millions of viewers. Women admired her wisdom. Men respected her calmness. Young couples traveled from different states just to attend her marriage seminars. She often ended every episode with the same words: Rebecca, a peaceful home is not built by perfect people. It is built by forgiving hearts. The audience always applauded. What they never saw was what happened after the cameras went off. Rebecca returned home late that evening. Their mansion in Ikoyi was brightly lit. Luxury cars occupied the driveway. The security guards greeted her respectfully as she walked inside. Everything looked peaceful, just as it always did. She dropped her handbag on the dining table. The house was unusually quiet. She looked at the wall clock. 8:45 p.m. Daniel had promised to be home before 7. She picked up her phone. 3 missed calls. None from her husband. She dialed his number. It rang. No answer. She sighed. This wasn't new. She walked upstairs and changed into a simple nightgown. As she stood before the mirror removing her makeup, she noticed something. A faint bruise on her left cheek. She stared at it for several seconds, then quietly opened a drawer. Inside were different shades of foundation and concealers. Without showing any emotion, she covered the bruise. It had become routine. Almost 4 hours later, the front door opened downstairs. Rebecca glanced at the clock again. 11:57 p.m. Daniel was home. He heard him laughing on the phone. A few seconds later, the laughter stopped. His footsteps echoed on the staircase. He entered the bedroom without looking at her. He loosened his tie and placed his car keys on the dresser. Rebecca smiled gently. "You're late." Daniel didn't answer immediately. He poured himself a drink, finished it in one gulp. Only then did he look at her. "Daniel, I was walking." Rebecca nodded. She had heard that answer many times. "Rebecca, you could have called." Daniel's expression changed instantly. "Daniel, must I report every movement to you?" Rebecca immediately lowered her voice. I wasn't arguing. I was just worried. Daniel laughed sarcastically. Worried? What do you mean? Daniel walked closer. His face was only inches from hers. Daniel, you spend all day teaching strangers how to love their spouses. But tell me, when last did you ask what I wanted? Rebecca's eyes filled with tears. She reached for his hand. He pulled away. Rebecca, Daniel, I've always tried my best. Daniel suddenly swept the glass on the bedside table onto the floor. It shattered. Rebecca jumped in fear. The house became silent. Daniel pointed toward the broken glass. Clean that. Without another word, he walked into the bathroom and slammed the door. Rebecca stood motionless. Her hands trembled. Not because the glass had broken, because she knew. Tonight wasn't over. The next morning, Rebecca appeared on national television. Her makeup artist admired her flawless face. Makeup artist, you are blessed with beautiful skin. Rebecca smiled. Only she knew how much makeup covered the fresh bruise beneath. Minutes later, the cameras rolled. The studio audience applauded loudly. Rebecca smiled confidently, as though nothing had happened. Rebecca on television. Marriage isn't about winning arguments. It's about choosing love every single day. The audience clapped. A young woman in the front row wiped tears from her eyes. Rebecca continued speaking. Encouraging, inspiring, healing broken homes. Meanwhile, her own home was slowly breaking beyond repair. That afternoon, Comfort and Sarah sat inside Sarah's car, across the street from the television station. Comfort watched Rebecca leave the building. She greeted fans warmly. She signed books. She posed for photographs with smiling couples. Comfort frowned. Comfort, that's the woman you wanted me to meet? Sarah nodded.
Thank you all so much for coming out.
Somewhere inside the Cole mansion, Rebecca quietly locked herself in the bathroom, rolled up the sleeve of her blouse, and revealed bruises that no television camera would ever see. She stared at herself in the mirror, then whispered through tears, "How much longer can I keep pretending?" Outside the bathroom door, Daniel's phone buzzed. He smiled as he read the message. The sender's name flashed across the screen. Unknown woman. He quickly deleted the notification, then walked away, as if nothing had happened. That Saturday afternoon, the three wealthy couples gathered at a private beach house in Lekki. It had become their tradition. Business first, pleasure later. Their children ran freely on the sand while private chefs prepared barbecue by the swimming pool. Professional photographers followed them around, capturing every beautiful moment. Michael Stone raised a glass.
Cheers to friendship, to bigger businesses, and more vacations. Here is to friendship and many more great years ahead. Cheers to that, my brother. Yes, cheers to that.
The three men clinked their glasses together. Their wives laughed from the other side of the pool as they discussed fashion, schools, and holiday destinations. Anyone watching them would think they had perfect lives. One photographer adjusted his camera. Photographer, everybody closer. Smile. The three families stood together. Husbands wrapped their arms around their wives. Children stood in front. Flash! Another picture. Within minutes, the photographs were uploaded online. Weekend with family. Grateful for genuine friendships. Life is beautiful. Thousands of comments poured in. Goals. This is what success looks like. God, when? Beautiful families. People admired them. Some envied them. Others prayed for marriages just like theirs. No one knew. The smiles disappeared the moment the cameras were gone. Later that evening, the men sat around an outdoor fire, discussing investments.
The Abuja project is moving faster than expected. We'll launch before December. We'll celebrate in Dubai this Christmas. We agree.
Michael noticed Richard had gone unusually quiet. Michael asked, "Everything all right?" Richard smiled. He said, "Just tired." Nobody questioned him. Inside the apartment, Vanessa Adeyemi quietly excused herself from the other women. She stepped onto the back balcony, looked around carefully, then brought out her phone. She dialed a number. The call connected almost immediately. Her face softened. The smile she gave this caller was different. Warmer. More natural. "Vanessa, I miss you too." She laughed softly. "No, he doesn't suspect anything." A pause. "I'll see you on Tuesday." She ended the call. The housekeeper had just stepped outside carrying a tray of empty glasses. The older woman froze. She hadn't meant to overhear. Vanessa turned quickly. Their eyes met. For a brief second, neither of them spoke. Vanessa forced a smile. "I was talking to my cousin." The housekeeper nodded politely. But deep inside, she knew that wasn't true. This wasn't the first time. The neighbors had noticed. The security guards had noticed. Even Richard's younger sister had noticed. Vanessa always left the house every Tuesday afternoon. Always returned around 5 o'clock. Always claimed she had charity meetings. Nobody had proof. Only suspicion. Whenever anyone hinted at it, Richard laughed. "My wife? Impossible. I trust Vanessa with my life." People stopped talking, but they never stopped watching. Across town, Comfort and Sarah sat inside Sarah's small apartment. The dining table was now covered with files. Property receipts, photographs, newspaper clippings, court documents. Comfort rubbed her tired eyes. The investigation was becoming bigger than she imagined. Sarah placed another newspaper on the table. It carried the same smiling photograph from the beach. The three couples. Perfect, as always. Sarah pointed at Vanessa. Do you know her? Comfort shook her head. Sarah smiled faintly. Sarah, people think she's the luckiest woman in Lagos. Comfort looked closely at the photograph. What do you mean? Sarah opened another file. Inside were handwritten notes, names, dates, meeting locations. She slid one page toward Comfort. Sarah, someone has been following her for months. Comfort frowned. Following her? Sarah nodded. Not to hurt her, to know the truth. Comfort looked confused. Before she could ask another question, Sarah's phone rang. She answered. The caller spoke rapidly. Sarah's expression changed. What? She stood up. She stood up immediately. Are you sure? Then, I'll be there. She ended the call. Comfort stared at her. What happened? Sarah looked directly into Comfort's eyes. Her voice dropped. Richard's driver just called. He said Richard found something inside Vanessa's car. Comfort's heartbeat quickened. What did he find? Sarah slowly picked up her car keys. We are about to find out. Outside, rain began falling over Lagos.